Germany makes its first steps towards concentration camps, CNN calls for fascism, and Biden doesn't trust the signs. These stories and more on your January 19th Not So News Update. Starting us off, we have a story from the US Sun, where Germany has apparently been setting up detention camps for individuals who break COVID lockdown guidelines. According to the article, Germany has received praise for their early handling, where they state, Germany won praise for its early handling of the pandemic, though has seen cases rise in recent months. It is now seeing around 18,000 people a day test positive and has so far recorded 47,440 deaths. The government is also keen to avoid the spread of a mutant strain of the virus first detected in Britain in December. I think something we really have to be careful here is, what the government is allowed to do. Now we're going to start seeing governments think that it's okay to detain citizens for, going outside, seeing family, opening a business. Just looking at what's going on in New York, that, they're just foaming around the mouth, that, there's legislation happening there that anyone that may have been exposed to the virus will be allowed to be detained there. And, we see both examples here between Germany and New York that there's no requirement for COVID testing or any type of scientific backing. Seems like just a matter of time before, this expands from just being COVID camps to potentially being camping individuals who don't follow climate change laws, or, maybe in good old German fashion, they'll just jail all the Jews. Next, we have a story from Fox News reporting that a New Jersey gym co-owner says state seized legal defense funds amid battle over COVID-19. Apparently, the state of New Jersey has frozen assets about $170,000 from the bank account. This was being used as a legal fund against the state. Fox News does report that the state according to the state has not seized their bank account funds. The spokesperson says, however, the state has obtained judgments against the owners and intends to collect them. The total due and owing as a result of court-entered judgments to date is about $134,000. I think the big issue here, though, is just how we see a disparity between the charges that are being done against small businesses to big businesses. Why does a small business get fined for being open, but a big business like Walmart, Amazon, etc. get to stay open? If anyone says that the right is on the side of big businesses, this pandemic has proven the complete opposite, that the left has more than its fair share of bootlickers and oligarchs, and this is just, continuing it. In a similar story, we have CNN might be joining the likes of Germany with its fascist take on how to control media competitors. Check out this video.
Possible. Seems like that's an open question.
It's hard. I think we got to do a couple things. One, there needs to be an intentional work by the social media companies collaborating together to work on violent extremism in the same way they worked on ISIS. And second, we have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences. There are people on YouTube, for example, that have a larger audience than daytime CNN.
I personally love the response that we're seeing from CNN here, that their response to having terrible ratings is not just to try and, improve your content or do some, self-reflection, but to use the full force of the state to stop competition. You know what that's called? Fascism. This comes along with a Washington Post article with the headline, Biden inherits bipartisan movement to crack down on large tech companies. This just shows the disparity that's happening between the two camps. One side of the aisle is asking big tech to, increase censorship, mandating that tech platforms silence competitors, while the other is asking them just to have the same terms of service. There have been constant stories of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube being used to promote violence, specifically with the Capitol riots, but only one side has been getting its accounts and websites deleted. It's the day before the Biden inauguration, which means we get to start a new countdown for how many days it takes a new president to join the likes of all his predecessors and become a war criminal. The Daily Caller has the following story regarding our current state of foreign affairs. It is to note that, foreign influence is down as a result of COVID, so we'll see how long it takes Biden to get, back involved. From the Daily Caller, Biden to take office amid lowest troop levels in Iraq and Afghanistan in 2 decades. An article of the state, fulfilling a central campaign promise, President Trump outgoing administration has effectively reduced U.S. forces to 2,500 service members in each country. Though the U.S. counterterrorism policy remains unchanged, increased capabilities of Iraqi forces against the threat of the Islamic State accounted for the reduction of troop levels in Iraq, according to the statement. I think something to note that hasn't been getting attention is just where we were 4 years ago in terms of foreign affairs. We still had ISIS going rampant. We thought of North Korea as a serious threat, and both of those had gotten zero talk in, I think, in the last 3 years. I don't remember a single story after the first year where Trump began getting involved. And along with military foreign influence, we have to see what Biden will be doing regarding international travel. Trump recently announced that he is planning to remove some of the COVID-19 travel restrictions, and Biden is saying they will block change. From CBS News, we have, with less than 48 hours left in his presidency, President Trump announced late Monday that he is lifting COVID-19 related travel restrictions he placed on foreign nationals coming much from Europe and Brazil. Travel restrictions will continue, or most coming from China and Iran. I think the interesting story here is why, what was missed here is that the Trump administration was stating that the restrictions were only lifted as long as a foreign and national individual was able to prove that there was a negative COVID test and that they previously had the disease, so they would have the antibodies. So the question is, why is the Biden team not allowing this? I was told they were the party of science. If someone has antibodies to the disease, then it can't spread. Is it maybe that this whole trust the science thing is just BS since the start? We'll see. I think we're also reminded from a tweet by Ryan Saavedra, what the standard was for Biden with travel restrictions. Early on, when Trump put the bans on last year, Biden responded by calling it xenophobic. This was response to Jen Psaki, who stated, with the pandemic worsening and more contagious variants emerging around the world, this is not the time to be lifting restrictions on international travel. My only question to all these individuals is, what is the standard for opening up? What is the standard of science that's needed to show that someone cannot spread the disease? And it's 2 very obvious things: have a negative test or have had the antibodies. Finally, getting back to CNN, we're revealed on just how immature they truly are. They have the following article that says, those exhausted by 2021 and all of 2020 can get some relief by calling a hotline and screaming. Yes, really. What's really going on here is CNN is just admitting to how they have the mental fortitude of that of a baby. CNN, it's time to clean up your diaper and grow up. Get on your big boy and big girl pants and do your damn job. Hold these politicians accountable instead of just constantly crying. Hold yourself accountable for your own terrible ratings, your lack of viewership, instead of crying about YouTubers that have less than 1% of your budget. This isn't the people around you, it's you. It's your lack of integrity, it's your lack of self-awareness, it's your lack of journalistic standards, it's your crybaby attitude. Grow up. This is your January 19th Not So News update. Have a good one.